Welcome to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast, where every week, Kirsten and Jeanne dive into the essential topics to fuel your business growth. From copywriting to course creation, mindset to video marketing, they've got you covered. Tune in for expert guest interviews on all things marketing and business, and learn how to work on your business, not just in it. So, get ready to unlock your business potential and take it to the next level.
So you're probably already on LinkedIn. You may even be using LinkedIn regularly, but are you getting leads consistently on LinkedIn? Listen up today. This is the podcast for you. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to somebody that we met recently at the Traffic and Conversions Summit in Las Vegas. His name is Francisco Bervis, and he is from Century Leads. And if you have ever been interested in learning how to use LinkedIn properly to get leads from it, now is the time to sit back and listen. Francisco, we're so excited to have you. Thank you for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey into lead generation and specifically into LinkedIn?
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here today. Let's start talking about LinkedIn and how I got into the world of lead generation. It is a very rich journey full of different obstacles and wins and many losses and many moments of frustrations along the way. But we finally found a way that we have been able to monetize LinkedIn. We've been able to help hundreds of customers in the past, responsible for around $200 million in just leads that we've been able to acquire for some of those customers we've been directly responsible for. So listen up. We got some things to dive into.
Fantastic. Yeah, LinkedIn has been around for so long, and I think people thought it was decreasing there for a little while, but it definitely hit the upsurge. And I've always thought it was great because if you were to search for your own name in Google, your LinkedIn profile typically comes up first.
Yes, LinkedIn, Pinterest, they're all amazing for SEO, especially for any links that you can put on your profile. But today we're actually not going to be talking too much about the profile, as the way that I've gone to see that LinkedIn generates the most amount of revenue is one-on-one. I always tell people, think of LinkedIn as a giant networking event where you go into a giant room and you don't know who to talk to. LinkedIn gives you that capability through some of their search engines. I'm not a big fan of their basic search engine. It gives you too much of a broad audience. I tell everybody, sign up for the first free month of Sales Navigator, and that is where we're going to start, because Sales Navigator is an amazing place to filter out anyone who doesn't fit your client avatar. Now, who is your client avatar? Let's say we are targeting individuals over the age of 30 who are business owners for startup early stage businesses generating significant revenue. How do we go about creating that ideal client avatar? And how do we make sure that those individuals are where they should be? Now, we're not going to be able to dive into all of the details on how creating a whole search works on Sales Navigator, but we're going to talk about the key features about it. LinkedIn nowadays does allow for you to identify companies generating X amount of revenue, either below $1 million, over $1 million, over $10 million, over 30 million, I think over $50 million, and over $100 million. And then depending on that, you're able to gauge where your audience is. If for anyone who currently has Sales Navigator open, if you click over onto the account section, you can actually select annual revenue and create your client avatar there. And at the bottom, where you can go ahead and save that filter, where you can then add it over to your lead page. Your lead page is now where the magic happens. You want to look at your current company. You want to look at if they are at a current company, because let's say in the past we worked with career coaches who say, "Ooh, IBM is currently doing 400,000 layoffs." We want to go after those individuals who are scared about getting laid off, already been laid off, or just want to make sure that they are updated, they have their updated resumes, they're starting to look for another position just in case they are laid off. So then we targeted their current company. We went for IBM. We found for everyone underneath middle management down, and we just had the system run and do all this outreach.
That's so impressive. You really don't think about, I know we think of it as a targeted tool, but when you started talking about IBM's laying off 400 people and a career coach wants to get in front of those people, and even if they're not getting laid off, they're still an ideal client because they may want to like up their resume or still maybe put out resumes just in case they get laid off. So that is so brilliant. Now, when you say you start running messages, do you start using automation to run messages to them?
Now, a shameless plug, we do have our own automation tool that anyone can have access to. Just shoot me an email and I'll be able to set you up. And we even do great affiliate programs for you guys as well. But there is a bunch of tools out there. However, you have to be careful about tools. If it is a plugin, I do not recommend it because LinkedIn does not like plugins, and it will flag your account if you are a plugin. Now, our tool tries to look as human as possible, and any other tool like Octopus.io or Lead Gen, LinkedIn Lead Gen or something like that. They try to look as human as possible. Those are the only other two I would potentially recommend. They're a little pricier, but they have stats, they have all the information you need. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn and like the frameworks on Sales Navigator, it's very easy to understand. Once you look at it, it has everything from geography, the industries, the headcount of the company, how many employees they have. You can target people by specific titles. And then in the filter area, in the search keyword area, you can throw in not additional keywords. So if their profile has something that says cannabis, nurse, whatever you're not ideally trying to target, you start adding those filters there to start cleaning up the list even more. If you have over 100,000 individuals, it's too broad. You got to narrow it down even more. Ideally, the target audience you should look at is somewhere between 1,000 to max 5,000 individuals for it to be very honed in and very concise to your client avatar. So that way you can then take it to the next step, which is where the lead generation starts to happen. The next step is understanding what it is we're trying to sell. So whenever we onboard a client, I'm going to pull up my onboarding template here just to use it as a reference point. We always talk to customers and we always talk to clients in the sense of, okay, you are one of millions of companies doing, let's stay with career coaching, just because I already threw that into the mix. You are one of millions of career coaches out there. What do you, and literally part of my first questions to any new onboarding we're doing is, what do you do and what makes you different from your competitor? What gives you that extra spark? What gives you that ooh la moment?
So do you think that we've debated about this because we've done a little bit of outreach on LinkedIn, but by asking them what they do, even if it's on their LinkedIn profile, do you think that to them signals that you didn't do your work? Or are you thinking that it's nice because you're engaging them in conversation and you're getting them to tell you more details? Does that make sense?
Okay, I understood there was slight confusion. So when I'm saying about my onboarding is when a client comes our way asking us, hey, can you help us generate us leads? We are talking to the client first, okay. Then we get to the prospect. So
I jumped right into LinkedIn. I thought
there's a process. You need to have strong foundation in which to stand before you take that first step forward, or not, you're going to sink or make a watery mess.
Yep, got it.
So we asked the client, what do you do? What makes you different from your competitor? Because we want to make sure that you can stand above the rest. We will actually turn a lot of clients away who say, oh, we've been doing this for 3 months and we're just looking for a new lead generation funnel. Or like, you might not be the best candidate for us because you're still figuring things out. And if you are still figuring things out, you have to work on your funnels. You have to work on your website. You have to work on your emails. You have to work on your copywriting. You should be investing the money there first before you invest money into a lead generator like us, just because you're not confident in your services and your vernacular of what you're going to be talking about. So the prospect is going to realize that and maybe just skip over you or not even think twice about you, which isn't what we want. So that's where we start and figuring out what it is you do and what's going to give us that little sprinkle on top that's going to make you stand above the rest. And then we look at who that client is targeting. A career coach is looking for individuals who are looking to transition jobs, recently laid off. They're looking for individuals who are open to work, which is a great phrase on LinkedIn to find. Individuals who are entry level, just getting out of college, individuals who are C-suites, who have been at their companies more than 10 years, who are potentially trying to leave. All of that information is what we need. And you have to ask those questions as well to yourself of, do I know my clients that well? Who is my lowest hanging fruit? And what are they thinking? How are they feeling? People nowadays, they don't buy based off of a need. They buy off of a want. They think of hotel ads, don't tell you, oh, we have a great discount for X, Y, and Z. They don't tell you they have a discount. They just show you people on vacation, people living a lifestyle, people enjoying a beautiful cocktail out on the beach somewhere. That's what people, they don't even care what the price is. They just say, I'm stuck behind the screen all day. I'm somewhere where it's freezing cold. I want to be somewhere warm. Take my money. And then once we start diving into, okay, we know what we're offering. We know who the target audience is. Now let's talk about locations. Because you can't talk to somebody in Latin America in English. So you want to talk about locations. You want to potentially throw in, oh, I see you're a local. If you're being hyper local as well, which is your own zip code. Because on Sales Navigator, you can target individuals by zip code or by city or by state. So there is a lot of little nuances you can do with the messaging. Even though you're doing mass messaging, you can make it look very personal to a specific individual. And that is very important. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Once we decide on locations, let's say we're doing Miami, Florida, specific area 33131, which is the Brickell area. It is known for financials, and anybody in real estate, essentially. That's where everybody goes. So we know that's the kind of individual there. Now we got to start talking about what their titles are. We're looking for individuals who are VPs, managers, seniors, entry level, or training, or students. So we want to make sure we include all of that information in there as well.
I was going to say, now those titles, those are already in LinkedIn, aren't they?
They are already in LinkedIn. Yes. So Napoleon Hill came up with this great list of motivators. And I always include this in my onboarding is to get a better understanding of who I'm speaking to and what is motivating that person. What we talked about earlier about the hotel ads, they're not selling you a hotel room. They're selling you a vacation. They're selling you the fantasy. Now, here is what is going to motivate me to move forward. And I'll read to you from the list just because it ties into human motivators. And typically, I recommend picking one to three. We have the motive of self-preservation, financial gain, love, power and fame, fear, revenge, freedom, or the desire to create or build. And those are going to be your bases of human motivators. So when you're reaching out to these individuals, what is motivating them to even want to read this message? What is going to motivate them to take a phone call with you? What is going to motivate them to click on anything that you send them? So let's say for a career coach, unfortunately, fear is going to be a big one because that prospect you're talking to is scared of losing their job, scared of changing their lifestyle. They're scared of change. They're scared of a lot of things. So that's going to be a fear motivator. They're going to want self-preservation because they want to maintain their current lifestyle or improve their lifestyle. And a lot of times maintaining their lifestyle doesn't necessarily mean keeping their jobs or keeping the company that they keep. It is more of keeping the apartment that they're living in, keeping the family that they're providing for, keeping the car that they just maybe recently purchased or are currently still making car payments on. All of those, or keeping the apartment that is in their children's school vicinity or somewhere near family members where they don't necessarily want to move back in with their parents if they lose their job. So a lot of those things tie together, and understanding that is very important for any kind of client. And these are the strategy developments that we go through in order to even start building a message that we then send to that specific audience. Because these motivators tied in with their location, their titles, and your services is what's going to push that person to that next step.
From Napoleon Hill, I love that you're talking about the human motivators because I think we so often forget about that when we're creating our messaging. And it's so important to understand what motivates human beings. We're all motivated, like you said, by one of those things and often a combination of them. Yeah. So I love that's part of your process. I think it's brilliant.
Of course, that's why I say think of it as a networking event because you're not selling a company. You're selling a person. You're talking to a human person. You are skipping the line. You're skipping the meetings. You are sending them a direct message on LinkedIn. That person's not interested in the benefit of their company, even if it potentially you're reaching out to a CEO or founder. They want to know how that's going to improve their personal lives. Whether you're a life coach, a career coach, a marketing company, an agency, affiliate management company, whatever. I've worked with tons of individuals from last mile tire delivery services to blood bank donations, marketing companies that only work with dealerships, trademarks, consultants for major companies like Jeanne, ex-football stars who are now working with Pioneer, Sony, and Kellogg's doing all their branded stuff. So the list goes on, and it just depends on, can we find your ideal customer on LinkedIn? And do we have enough value and to really get them to convert as a client?
I love it. So I'm guessing your next step is to do the copywriting, to actually write what's going to inspire them.
Surprise, there's one more step. You always want to talk about a blacklist. Who do you refuse to work with? Whether that be a company, an ex-employer, a current employer, because this is an automated outreach. So it's always good to have a blacklist. Enemies in the industry that you potentially have, an ex-husband you have a restraining order against. Like, you just want to make sure that we cover all our bases first.
So can you actually put a blacklist in there? Don't ever pick these people or these companies?
Mm-hmm. You can actually do a list of companies and you can exclude them from your searches. Let's say I'm going after real estate agents at a specific company, but there's another company that sounds like it or has the same writing for it. I can actually exclude those companies so that if they pop up on that individual's profile, it will not fall into the search, so I won't double dip. Or let's say I'm currently looking for a job and I'm using the automation to find the job. I can exclude my existing company so that no one there finds out I'm looking for a job. Now is where we get into the fun stuff. Now this is where we get into the copywriting and the messaging. I always like to first do those first two parts of understanding Sales Navigator, creating my audience. There's a lot of tricks of the trade when it comes to creating that audience, and then understanding the motivators, the niches of the individuals you are creating, because you can create multiple lists and multiple messages to go by sequence. So let's say sequence 1 is for career coaches who are going after students. So you know that if someone has student and somebody has entry level, they're two different individuals. One hasn't even started, one already started. So the messages are going to be a little different. Hey, I saw you're still at, and you can do actual plugins with school. Hey, I saw you are at this school, or you can filter by school depending on who has a higher audience for you. And then now that person is reading it and they are saying, oh, they looked at my profile, they saw that I went to this school, and they know that I am a engineer looking to dive into this audience. Let me further read this message because it is now curated to that individual, even though you're doing it to thousands and thousands of people a month. It just feels more human. So the goal here is to do a short message, straight to the point, have something to relate that person with, and then go for the pitch. Because LinkedIn, everyone hates it, but it works if done correctly. Go for the jugular early. I don't have the attention span. If you do too many steps, that person will disappear and you will never hear from them again. I've seen that times and times again where I try to keep my negative engagements to at least like a 5% of people saying, I just connected, why are you pitching me? I'm like, it's LinkedIn, it's for business. I don't know about Gen Z is using it as a dating site, but it is for business.
Yeah, but I love just all of this information. I've taken so many notes, but I do the fact that sometimes if you're trying to be too friendly, it comes off. It's like you said, LinkedIn is a professional platform. People aren't looking for new BS. Let's talk about, can we do business together? Do you have something that can help me? So I like the idea of pitching early on. It's smart.
I'm a big fan of potentially doing a quick little connection message that goes with the invite. Let's connect. And then once they connect, I try to engage. I have the system engage them within 15, 30 minutes because they're still using the application and I want to get them while they're hot. And then I send them that message. However, I always tell people, try to engage that person, try to relate to that person and pitch that person in one very short message. Do not make it too long. Most individuals are looking at things on their mobile devices. And if I have to scroll, you've lost me.
So give us an example of some really short, concise pitches.
So this individual has no connection message. We are not sending a connection message. She is a women's empowerment coach. And 45 minutes after connecting, she sends this message. Hello, first name. Wishing you a fantastic start to 2024 because we're currently still in that time frame. Inspired by recent celebrations, I'm excited to invite you to join a complimentary community focused on building confidence, being, and self-belief for amazing women like you. Elaine Welroth said, when women affirm women, it unlocks our power. Let's harness that power together. As a Coach of the Year awardee from ICF Ireland, I want to give back by sharing talks, resources, and tips on resilience. It's a free gift to support your journey. Interested? Sign up here. Looking forward to growing with you. Very straight, very boom. She's also an older woman. So we wanted to keep it true to her writing, to her style, because that's also important. Like us as the lead generator, we do a lot of the copywriting. We're not going to do something super informal for someone who's very formal in person, because then those things, she's going to have to meet this individual at a certain point. It just won't make sense. But that's what a message looks like. And then we have 2-3 follow-ups that go out a couple weeks after this message if that person opened it but didn't respond, just to re-engage that person. Because a lot of times you're reading something on your phone, someone calls you, something happened, you got distracted, you're driving, you forget. That is 100% normal. The money is in the follow-ups. You gotta engage. It's like an email drip campaign. You're just doing it through LinkedIn.
Yeah. Do you think that the first connection is a good idea, like best practices, to give them something? I have a free resource. I have a free something that I think might benefit you, or not necessarily?
That ties into a bit of affiliate marketing in the sense of creating a sales funnel. And yes, there's so much options that you can do. You can push for a sales call. You can push for a free webinar that turns into a sales. You can do it as a free book download. It's just, you can start a conversation, have them join groups where the group then funnels them into another webinar or joins them into a community. There's a lot of opportunities you can do. We've even used it for events where someone wants to do a LinkedIn event. We're like, cool, great, terrific. We will go ahead and promote it to your existing audience and to new audience, but you need minimum 60 days to do that push for that event on LinkedIn because it takes time. Because you want it to look human, you don't want to do too much, where LinkedIn doesn't like automation. So it's very important to look human. Yes.
Yeah, and it's because we always tell our clients, lean into AI, lean into automation, because again, everything's moving at a faster pace. But I think doing it ethically, doing it in your own voice, doing it in line with what people on that platform want is so important. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys are doing.
It took us a while to get here, but figuring out that it's a human emotion, it's a human motivation, it's the human part of that individual that is going to do any business for you. Because this process primarily works for high ticket offers. It does work for lower ticket offers. For our service, it primarily works for high ticket offers. But when you do just like using our technology, you can do it for a lower tier offer, and it helps you build lists. Right now, for another company, we're using it to build an email list of individuals over the age of 40 who are most likely to buy supplements. We are just building an email list, driving them into it, and then trying to sell them via email instead. There's a lot of things you can use it for. Like our tech will reach out to around 3,000 individuals per month, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. It just depends on how much activity that profile has in that month. LinkedIn is not a magic tomorrow box. It is, you got to look at it. You got to check your stats. You got to look at your connection rate. You got to look at your engagement rate. You got to look at your conversion rate. Because let's say your connection rate is bad. It's below a 15, 20%. That means your target audience is wrong. You need to pivot your target audience. Then let's say your engagement rate is bad. That means your message is wrong. So you have to change your message. You have to A/B test it maybe. I always recommend an A/B test, but it's always good to figure out, okay, what are people resonating with? And which one is converting to my call to action? Is it a phone call? Is it a link? Is it this? And tracking those things is important for data, because then let's say you're trying to get a phone call and message A individuals are closing at a higher rate than message B individuals, then you can shoot down message B and just keep message A. But let's say your conversion rate is actually bad for both of them. Like both of them are getting a lot of phone calls, but no one is purchasing your offer. That means your offer is bad. That means you have to change your offer or make it more valuable, or start asking those individuals who said no why they said no. So then that way you can then pivot your offer to either include some added goodies or remove some things that they potentially don't want.
That's so interesting. And so just out of curiosity, what does your service cost? Because I think this is a very valuable service, because people can see that there's a lot of steps involved. So you have different packages for working with clients. I know you said you sell the software, but how do you guys really take care of people?
So the software, I'm actually launching my educational course for this, and give me some time to do it. It's going to have templates. It's going to have all the goodies. So the course will be coming out at $49 a month with the mastermind once a month. And then the software, the seats cost $99 per seat, which you will have full access to the software. You can have as many campaigns per account as you want. And then we have our copywriting capabilities, where we will go ahead and create your campaigns. We will help you manage your campaigns a little bit more. We will create the messaging, and we will create the target audience with you. And we will monitor it to let you know, okay, it needs to change. This is what we recommend. Boom, boom. We're coming more as a consultant who does a lot of heavy lifting in that first month. And then we just manage things as time goes on. That runs at $350 per month. And then for our full scale service, where we optimize, scale, manage, do all the replies for you as well. And all you have to worry about is sitting on your butt and taking phone calls if that's what you want, or to just watch people join your webinar or whatever your CTA is. That runs at $997 per month.
When you work with a client for the $350 or the $997, do you spend time with them each month going through their stats?
We try to schedule bi-weekly calls.
Okay.
Some clients want weekly calls, which for some of them, they need it. Some clients are more higher touch points than others. That just comes with the game. I haven't heard from in 6 months because they're just happy with whatever's going on.
That's always nice too.
Like when we have a problem, cool, pretty terrific.
Francisco, this has been amazing. I didn't even know this kind of tool existed. That's great. Your company is at Sentry Leads. It's SENTRY, sentryleads.com. And if you want to reach out to Francisco, you can reach out to him at francisco@sentryleads.com. And we will also have a Calendly link in the description below if you wanted to book an appointment to just chat with him and see if he can do something for you. So thank you so much, Francisco. This has been so great. I love learning more about how we can take advantage of LinkedIn, because there's a lot of B2B and even B2C can do well on LinkedIn.
Yeah. We've worked with like physical trainers in the past who are looking for clients, and Sales Navigator, you look for individuals who can afford private services in a specific zip code, and you're good to go.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Anything you guys need, I'm here to help. Thank
you so much. You've been just a wealth of information. I'm sure our audience got a lot out of this. And so for those of you who have stayed this long, we appreciate it. And Jeanne and I are here for you if you would like to talk about outsourcing any of your marketing. So whether that is starting your YouTube channel or podcast, or even getting booked on podcast interviews. So again, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time, and we'll say goodbye to everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you are ready to leverage video marketing on all online platforms, or maybe even start your own video podcast, then you need to check out the Done For You and Done With You program at themarketingvaadvantage.com and take your business to the next level.